And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, coming to you live from the Goons studio. You are now watching Mount Paozu Arcade. I am at A filled with
Woo!
pockets, hell
Hey,
pockets. Tell them what they're in for this week, bro.
oh boy, this is, what can I say? This is a big week. It should have been a big week. It's still a big week. There's a big hole in everybody's hearts right now. That is where the Dragon Ball Fighters closed beta test should be right now, filling it up. There should be a sense of warmth within everybody right now, knowing that they either got in to the beta test or they did not, and then I guess they'd be cold in that case. But
Yeah.
there is hope. There is hope, and we will talk about this later tonight. There is hope that Namco has given us based upon a release last night. So all is not lost. I think you guys are going to be interested in seeing this. It's pretty much all good news. And that's rare. And that's rare for this kind of situation, you know? Rarely do you get something delayed the night before the big bang, as it were. And then it ends up being better news than it would have been if it had actually gone off, you know?
You know what's interesting though is that this normally, I don't think this would go over that well. Normally with all these delays that games have been getting lately, but because we've been having shit releases, I think it's gone over surprisingly well, despite, you know, even, I mean, obviously our feelings are still hurt. But yeah, you know, like if it's for a better quality, I think everybody's on board, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they said basically we're going to ensure that more people can get into the beta test than we initially had planned for. And this has a lot to do with the fact that I think when they announced the game, they thought people would be excited, obviously. That's what they were hoping for. But they never imagined the amount of positivity and hype that would come behind just one trailer for this game at E3 of all times during the Microsoft stage show.
Yeah.
It literally stole the show.
Do you think that you can attribute that to the designers that are involved with the game? Like maybe they're like, whoa, we're so used to a certain amount of people wanting to play our games, but damn, we didn't expect Dragon Ball to be this big. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, I gotta say, like, you know, you put it in the hands of somebody like Arxis, especially the red team, to make a beautiful game, and that's kind of what they do right now. You know, they kind of just make really good looking games and they make fun games. Yeah. You mix that with the fact that it's probably one of the most famous IPs in the world, and you also mix it with the fact that it's a 2D fighting game, which, you know, despite how people feel about it being a niche market, you know, they get watched. People watch that shit still.
Well,
even if they don't play it.
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, fighting games are niche, but Dragon Ball isn't niche. No, Dragon Ball has totally crossed over. Like,
yeah, totally. I don't think that Dragon Ball has ever really been niche since, I want to say, you know, late 90s. Like pretty much ever since it popped off here, it just went straight to mainstream.
I'd say definitely after Cartoon Network, when they finally brought it over. It's just since before social media, you kind of didn't know how many people were actually into it, you know? Right. So if you recall, like back in the day, it's kind of like you found out somebody knew about Dragon Ball because it's like, oh, they just had a random doodle they did, or they had some artwork that they had on their folder or something. And you're like, oh shit, this guy likes Dragon Ball.
That was like your bro after that, you know?
Or this dude came to school in one of those silk shirts. So one or the other. That
may have may not been me. I did a lot of shopping at Anchor Blue at the time, so I definitely had a.
Oh, dude! Even before Anchor Blue, they used to have it at Miller's Outpost.
Miller's Outpost, baby.
Dude, they actually have some pretty quality shirts. I don't know about silk shirts because I never bought one because I thought they were whack. But the shirts were pretty nice, man. Like they were like a full shirt print. And even they got down on like the graphic design point too, on top of putting the artwork in there.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job of, like, you know, making that a very quintessential part of urban lifestyle. I feel like you literally saw two kinds of shirts a lot of the time in the hood. You saw Dragon Ball shirts and Samurai Showdown shirts.
Oh,
like, dude, everybody had the Samurai Showdown shirts. Yeah.
I remember, dude. I was in middle school and dudes in high school that were like seniors had Samurai Showdown shirts, and I'm like, do they really?
Do they fuck with that game? Like,
but yeah, dude, definitely. You know, back then there wasn't social media, so you kind of didn't know right away like what these people are into. Now, the thing that everybody likes or what people are into is so in your face, and it's like, oh shit, this person fucking likes Dragon Ball too. Like, it's almost like, well, no shit, they either like it or they know of it at this point, right?
mm-hmm. No, yeah, exactly. And so I think that might have went over Namco's head a little bit. Namco has been releasing, or Bamco rather, has been releasing Dragon Ball Z games for years now. And you know, they started doing well, especially around the Budokai era. They started doing pretty well enough that they would, you know, continuously release after release after release. And it stayed relatively within its own market, though. It stayed relatively within the Dragon Ball market that was interested in those games only. And that was still sizable, but it wasn't like, you know, it had ever really crossed over into any other areas of gaming media and community. Even when they made 2D fighters, even when they made, like, you know, Extreme Butoden, they didn't make that kind of dent. So I guess when they, that's what I'm going to say. Like, so when they came out with this, they were probably like, okay, people are probably going to like this. They're probably going to say this is the best looking Dragon Ball Z game they've ever seen, but it still may not scratch that, you know, it may not scratch that itch. But lo and behold, biggest fucking game at E3.
You know what is also kind of surprising to a lot of people or a lot of companies is once they get involved with the fighting game community and they get a touch of like the excitement and like the way the community is, it's totally different from anything else. Like you really don't experience something like that, especially when you start showing it off at places where the community is present, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, SNK, when they had KOF, I mean, it's not that big of a community, but it's has such an effect on them coming out and seeing how hype people get over it, that you multiply that what like a company like SNK gets inspired by with like a Namco game, with the property of Dragon Ball, and it's nuts, dude, because everybody's losing their mind and everybody won't shut up about it, because now you got the FGC up in arms about it, and now you have the casual community going nuts over it. So
you got dedication now. And so I gotta think, and I haven't gotten, people have said this, but they just weren't ready for it, you know? This whole time they were planning for it. I think maybe even the beta was probably in the works before they even thought about Evo, you know, Evo showcasing or, you know, whatever. I think they were gonna do that anyway, but they had no idea that it was gonna be this big. It just caught them on their heels. And so maybe I'm just gonna assume that the beta got delayed because they're like, you know what, man, like we just can't do it the way that we think people will be satisfied with. And that tells me that they want people to get a pretty good taste of this game before 2018. You know, if you've been to any of the trade shows or any of the events or any of the tournaments where it's been at, you know that they're really interested in seeing what people think of this game. It's not a like, hey, here's Dragon Ball, pay $60, we'll see you next year. You know, this is something that they're actively, you know, they're workshopping it. They're actively workshopping it. They're actively looking for people who are good at the game already and wanting to showcase them. They're looking for people who know the lore and are good at commentating fighting games and wanting them to help showcase the game. This is not your average cash in. This is not your. This isn't like, I'm not trying to shit on Xenoverse or anything like that, because Xenoverse definitely had a strong marketing team behind it that believed in it also. But this isn't like, you know, it's not a sim. It's not a cash in. It's not a grab. Yeah. This is like they want this to fucking work. They want people to be serious about this game, hardcore even. And I guess you could say that with all the other games that are out right now, they have a lot to live up to. And at the same time, they also had the benefit of seeing what they all did wrong and being like, we're not going to do that. We are not going to release a product way before it deserves to be.
And you can credit a lot of that to a company like Arxis. I mean, the company has weight in the FGC, right? So now you're getting it from all angles, and it's the perfect storm, man, right now for that. And so on top of that, did we mention that they said they were going to add a new character or one more character to the beta?
Not yet, but that's something that has been a little, I want to say a little up in the air so far. So the night of the beta registration, as everybody knows, when it got delayed, a link to the Japanese PSN site went up. Japanese PSN site basically said you could register for the game and they'll put you as a ticket to get in line for registration for closed beta.
Yeah.
There came out today a website, or yesterday, late last night or something, where they basically explained the details of the beta test. And one of the details said that there would be, quote unquote, approximately 10 characters in the beta that would be delayed until September, or be happening in September. It's been going back and forth on whether or not that is true or not. I guess they haven't confirmed. They said approximately 10. Some people think that that's like, maybe their way of saying we might have 10, we may not, because this is kind of a thing that's happening in real time. They want to have 10, they may have not,
But how does that read to us, FGC?
Now, yeah, exactly.
That's like, oh, it better be in there now, right?
Dangling like, the meat right now. You're just like, glock.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't fuck around when you said 10,
So don't even throw that number out there, bro. Like, nah, dude. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that they also announced the date that, at least for the US, when that beta is going to happen, right?
Right.
And what does that conflict with? That schedule, or at least what is it in direct competition with?
So it's the same week.
The saga continues.
The same week as the release of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. A day later, that game drops after the beta closes.
Yikes.
No, I got to think that there's absolutely no reason for them to make that kind of decision on purpose, at least. I think they can make that decision because it's convenient for them. I think they can make that decision because they're like, hey, this is a good time for us. And, we're going to get done and then your game's going to come out and everything will be cool, right? Like they're thinking like that. But it is kind of weird, it is kind of hard to say, that they're not, that Arxis and Namco are not both taking their balls in their hands and being like, Capcom, what do you got for the table?
I actually think that it was on purpose. And no, actually, I want to believe that it was on purpose because I like the storyline better.
All right, so you want to believe that it's on purpose. You basically want to believe that Arxis and Namco are basically shit disturbing right now with Capcom. Which, a lot of people believe that. I mean, I'm not saying that they wouldn't. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't really benefit them to do that. It also doesn't hurt them to do it either. So this could literally end up being a zero-sum equation right now. But on the nothing bad can happen for them. The best thing that can happen is that everybody continue to pre-order Dragon Ball FighterZ after the beta weekend. And nobody buys Marvel Infinite for whatever reason. But I don't even know if that helps.
Dude, just think about how fucked up this is, right? You're like, Capcom's trying to pull their shit together. And, honestly, I don't have an opinion on the game since, like, I haven't been invested in MVCI. But it's like, you're Capcom, and then you hear that, you're like, fuck, dude. Like, we're a legit game coming out, and we have to compete with a game that pretty much can get away with murder because it's a fucking beta. Like, oh shit, like if they come out and they fuck things up, it's like not that big of a deal, right? But it still takes away from the release of Marvel vs. Capcom. At least that is definitely true in the FGC, right? I don't know as far as like commercially and stuff like that, but like it will separate the player base.
No, it totally will. Like it is going to give people something new to think about, and it may very well take some people who were interested in Marvel Infinite, and if they play Dragon Ball FighterZ, they may say, you know what, I don't even want to play that game anymore. That's their decision.
It's kind of like those times when some people didn't have a main game that came out and they were trying out KOF, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, realistically, when their game did come out, they bailed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think what's gonna happen with Dragon Ball is people are. I think they're gonna have to draw a line in the sand at some point. As far as like the real tournament players, I'm not even considering me because I could play whatever. But like, if you want to be dedicated, it's gonna be hard, man. Like, Marvel's Capcom looks pretty intense, and maybe there's gonna be an upside that Dragon Ball doesn't seem to, at least on the surface, look too intense on like how many things you have to grind on. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the era of multiple games is rapidly disappearing because there's just, like you said, it's just too intense to just play that many things all at once. And when you got a game that is basically promised to be that beautiful, people are saying it's that fun, and it's remarkably easy, I guess, that some people say. It's kind of enticing, especially when you're up against something that has had such a hard time getting its feet on the ground as Marvel Infinite, at least marketing wise. And I will say that even if Namco isn't thinking about it, they definitely are. You know, like you said, Capcom is probably over there going like, fuck, they did it again. Because you got to think at E3, they did not think that Dragon Ball FighterZ was going to steal the show from every other game at the event. Even their tag fighter, you know?
Yeah.
And so now they're like, I have seen people on Twitter definitely coming out saying like, oh, I don't think that Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to go the distance. I don't think that it's got the staying power. And it's just like, why not? Why wouldn't it? It's literally like not even done yet. And people are already talking about pro tours, who's going to commentate the game, money matches, put it on all the platforms, Is Marvel Infinite on every platform? No. Dragon Ball FighterZ has got a petition to be on the Switch. And really, there's no reason for that not to happen. But that's another topic altogether.
And you mean to tell me, especially from people that play Xenoverse, that those dudes that like main that game, because there's totally people that totally main that game.
Yeah.
That they don't finally want to jump into a real game. Like, oh, you don't think they're not like, fuck, finally a real fucking game that's Dragon Ball? Because you know what? To be honest with you, I didn't really give a fuck about playing any of these other true FGs, but this shit. Fuck yeah, I'm about to go hard. You think that's not gonna happen?
I'm sure there's a percentage of that
totally gonna happen.
There's probably a percentage of people that are probably gonna be on that tip, and then that's only gonna benefit the competitive scene on Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's a monster, man. Like it's almost to the point where like no matter what move they make, they kind of squash somebody.
Right now, Dragon Ball FighterZ is pretty much. I really feel they're unaffected by anything that the other companies do. Like Capcom could do whatever they want. I don't think it's going to affect Dragon Ball that much at all.
No.
However, I do think Dragon Ball has a big impact as to like how the other companies operate. And I think you would be stupid. I'd be a dumb move to not even take that into consideration.
I mean, yeah, you got to take that into consideration. I definitely saw the date and I was like, well, that's a funny date to have it at. But you could argue that, hey, there's plenty of time for somebody to decide, hey, that Dragon Ball FighterZ beta was fun, but now I'm going to move on to Infinite, which is out. And I can play that until this game is out in 2018. And I can decide if I want to go hard body in one of those or maybe even both. So,
yeah, I think people were actually pretty bummed out. I think this is the main reason why people were bummed out about this delay, because those two games are so tight. That means that a lot of like even the pro players might have to make a choice. Like we have a lot of friends that are pretty dedicated in the fighting game tournament scene that I'm pretty sure kind of like, damn, dude, like I'm like a Capcom player. I don't even get a chance to like kind of grind on this shit, like on its own. Because when Marvel vs. Capcom comes out, the talent's gonna hit the ceiling pretty fast, and you're gonna have to jump on or you're gonna get left behind. So that's kind of what I'm saying about like the line's gonna be gone. So yeah, man, I don't know, but all I know is Mount Paozu's here to stay, and we're totally gonna play Dragon Ball.
Got your back, baby.
Yeah, we're here for you,
dude. Like there is absolutely nothing stopping us from just going so hard into Dragon Ball FighterZ that we are I mean, I'm not saying that we're gonna like, you know, forsake every other game that we're interested in, but like there's just already so much that people want to know about this game. There's so much that we want to know about this game that, you know, like this beta could literally just put everybody in hibernation mode, you know? That's 3 days potentially of just solid discovery. And who cares if it gets changed in the final version? People want to talk about that shit for
also
almost months.
It's absolutely guaranteed that every trailer of the for each character that gets released is gonna be
It's
dope
gonna be
as
fire.
fuck.
It's gonna be fire, man. Every time.
Every
Like,
time.
I don't even know if, you know, if a lot of people here have seen Guilty Gear Excerpt trailers for characters that were getting released, but man, like those alone have made people want to play the game just because of like character trailers and shit. So
speaking
like,
of
you saw the Trunks trailer. You saw the Trunks trailer. Now we got, like you said, speaking of characters, now we got 2 characters, right?
Yeah, and we still have not seen the trailer, which I was hoping that they would have released it before the show. But hey, there's always next week. We are a weekly show, so
if they do it, I was gonna say on Twitter, I was like, you know what really tied me over in this wait time between July and August would be a trailer for Krillin and Piccolo.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we're waiting on that, and I mean, that really cleared up a few spots for us. But Hell Pockets and I have come up with our own list of characters that we either hope or want, or think are going to be in the game.
Right. We don't have a maximum cast list or anything like that, so this is kind of an easy pick because it's only 10, right? We only picked 10 characters, and there could obviously be more than 10 characters left to appear in this base roster.
Oh God, I hope so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. There's just so many possibilities as far as how these characters can be played. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that Dragon Ball games live and die on is who's in it. You know, there are so many characters in this series that people want to play as in a specific environment. I can't imagine that there isn't a character in Dragon Ball that people don't want to see in this game. Obviously, that would be ridiculous, but it's that just makes it that much harder, especially for the developers, to choose who they put in there. They're not going to please everybody, but maybe they can get a wide swath of the crowd. So with that, we present the 10 characters from both Metaphysics and Hell Pockets to appear in Dragon Ball FighterZ, not necessarily in order, not necessarily even like sequential, really. I guess like you could say like.
I mean, no, not for me. But here's what I think we should do. I want you to read yours off, and then I'll read mine off. You don't necessarily have to get into detail about it, but after we say who is going to be in it, we can talk about it.
Okay.
So in dramatic fashion, Hell Pockets, what is your top 10 list of characters that you either hope, want, or think are going to be in Dragon Ball FighterZ that have not been announced?
Okay, so I want to preface this with the fact that I feel very confident in this list. I think all 10 of these will be in this roster in one form or another as playable characters.
I'm gonna call bullshit already. I don't even know what it is, but
that to that end, I'm locking this in. This is a Pockets pick. Pockets pick is currently at a 98% success rate. So here we go, guys. Pockets pick 10 characters to appear in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Ginyu, Captain Ginyu.
Okay.
Kid Buu. Android 18.
Yeah.
Broly. Bardock. Tien Shinhan. Gotenks. Vegito. Dabura. And Beerus.
Dude, did you say any Dragon Ball Super characters?
Nope, I did not say any Dragon Ball Super characters.
Wow, dude, you're playing it a little tight. I'm surprised.
Well, no, I guess you could count Beerus as a Dragon Ball Super character.
Okay.
They called the movie he appeared in Dragon Ball Z, but he's a Dragon Ball Super character.
Okay. I can see that. But damn, I'm still really surprised you called it that tight. Holy shit, I did not expect that from you. I feel like I feel like mine's. Well, we're pretty close. No, actually, we're pretty close. You know, I keep it tight too. That's not a surprise.
Okay.
But yes. So these are my characters. 18,
All right.
17, Hit, Beerus, Tien, Chaozu, Master Roshi,
what?
Jiren, and maybe this is a stretch. Garlic Jr.
What the? Are you kidding me, man? I thought you were gonna take this seriously.
Hey, man, you know.
You said to do seriously. Like I spent all day putting this list together. I spent all day.
I just think about this.
I put this list. I put the first draft of this list together at like 9 a.m. and I finally finalized it at like 4 p.m. Right, an hour before I have to leave for work. And you come at me with fucking Garlic Jr.
Dude, what's wrong with Garlic Jr.?
Garlic Jr. is not even a real character, man. Like
we don't know that. He totally has a canon fucking part in the
God, don't remind us.
It's complicated.
Look what you're doing to the people. You gotta think of the people, Abe. Think of the people. Right now, you're upsetting the audience.
Dude, just think of the possibilities.
I swear to God, dude.
What if he has an assist where all his homies come out? Like, how sick would that be?
Oh, dude, no.
Come on, man.
No. I refuse, because now that you put the thought, now I'm thinking that shit, man. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, good. That's totally something the Arxis would do now. They would totally put in a character that had like a 3-character like assist super and like assist normals and shit. And God, awful.
Hey, look, listen. You put in Bardock. Well, I guess he is canon.
Bardock is like a total fan favorite too. Like Bardock is like,
yeah.
Like they've been trying to do stuff with Bardock since the TV special. They were mad that they killed him. They're like, shit, why would you kill this character? He's like the best character you ever wrote.
I just think it looks too much like Goku though. Like,
well, yeah.
I want them to go for like unique characters. So look, man, hey, Garlic Jr. is kind of like my wild card there, all right? Like,
all right.
You know, like I feel like those other characters I put up have a really good chance of getting.
Paozu's not your wild card?
No, dude, just think about the assist. Think about the dope ass assist you could do with Chaozu, dude. Like he self-destructs on people.
It's a grab.
Or even that, right? Because you know they're not gonna put fucking Cyberman in there. Like that's gonna totally not work.
Yeah, that would.
Why would you put all that effort into one of those characters?
The only way a Cyberman would appear in this game, I feel, is if it was Nappa, and that would be one of his supers.
Oh shit, we didn't even talk. Damn, I didn't think. I would have put Nappa in.
Yeah, I thought about putting Nappa in too, but at the same time, I also realized that Nappa in Extreme Butoden was a part of a who gives a damn kind of roster. Because if you look at Extreme Butoden's roster, it's pretty basic. You know, they don't take a lot of risks. The only cool thing they really did was put Raditz in there. Everybody else is kind of just like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. You know, they put like 5 Gokus in there.
Yeah, I kind of don't want, like, that's another thing. Like, this kind of has to do with the series. I kind of have a perspective on Dragon Ball in general, where it's like, I like it when they don't focus so much on the Saiyan shit. Now, I know the whole thing is centered around Saiyans. Like, that's the thing. But yeah. I feel like there's so much potential outside of that whole arc, right? And they put so much stock in the whole fucking series about the whole legendary Saiyan shit.
Oh boy.
Look, now look, I actually was surprised that you didn't go with Kale, because you've been talking about her for like weeks now. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I think Broly's cool. He's very, very interesting in the movies and all, but like, I really want them to explore other things, you know, especially in a fighting game. I'm not so much saying so much in the series, but in the fighting game, it's different, you know, it's a different medium. And I feel like diversity is more important than on the storyline, but that never really works with like
Are you insinuating that a female legendary Super Saiyan is not diversity, sir?
No, dude, that's not what I'm saying. Oh god, this guy.
Did you just Did you?
No, I'm saying the whole thing of getting stuck on the Saiyans period is not diversifying the roster.
Period jokes now. How dare you?
Oh my god, this guy is fucking bad. Whatever, man. All I'm saying is like there's some dope characters in Dragon Ball that
there are some dope characters in Dragon Ball, but Kale is her own character. She is her own beast.
Why are you fighting for her? She's not even on your roster.
I've been trying to tell her she doesn't have to be on my roster. I've been trying to tell people since they announced her that she's not supposed to be Broly though, man. Like that was the thing. A lot of people were saying like, oh, she's totally 1-for-1 Broly. Like we might as well just have gotten Broly in Universe 6. She's not Broly. It's a different kind of transformation and character entirely. The status may be the same. The strength may be the same, but the overall writing behind all of that is completely different for the most part. You remember this from an earlier episode where I was telling everybody that Broly is not someone who is a victim of his own power, like they tried to make him appear that way in the dub version. The same thing with Kale. Kale is more of a victim of her own emotions and power rather than, in Broly's case where that dude's just really like that. He's just a psychotic asshole. Mm-hmm. There's no like feeling bad for Broly. There's no like, what if Broly was born on Earth? He would be totally different. No, he wouldn't be. He's the exact same motherfucker in every situation. Absolutely nothing.
I'd be fucking nuts about the legendary Super Saiyan shit. They've been teasing shit like this the whole fucking series. And it's like, they stopped talking about it for a little bit and like, fuck, they let it go finally. Like, either solve the fucking problem or let it go, But then, I guess, I don't know what the popularity of Broly, they're like, nah, son, we can't let that go. Like, we gotta roll with this shit. People love this shit. I'm like, fuck.
It's a good story to get behind. I mean, you think about it this way. They had the whole dichotomy of mortals versus gods in the Future Trunks Zamasu arc, where they basically said a god can't beat, or a mortal will never beat a god. And I guess they kind of proved that in a way. But then you also have the fact that Goku and Vegeta are able to utilize God Ki, which basically puts them at a potential to reach that level if they ever decide to. They've even hinted at the fact that one of them may become a god of destruction. Most likely it'll be Vegeta. And
wait, what? Most likely it'll be Vegeta.
Why? Yeah, I think
Why
Wiz,
do you think so?
actually, Wiz told him, like, dude, you want me to train him? You got to promise to become a god of destruction someday.
That's what he said? Oh,
yeah, that's why he's training them, man. Shit.
Oh. Why? Because he's a dick?
Well, yeah, he'll probably be able to do the job real easy. But now you've got Legendary Super Saiyan thrown into that mix, and for years people have theorized that this is actually the strongest transformation you can get in Dragon Ball Z. That Broly potentially is the strongest character, at least the strongest Saiyan mortal in the Dragon Ball series, in the universe. And if you saw the last episode of Dragon Ball Super, they pretty much proved that when fucking Kale just mushed Super Saiyan Blue's Goku's face and tossed him out like dirty, rotten trash.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was great. I was like, dude, finally something puts some drama in the Super Saiyan Blue saga, because right now it just looks like a cop-out cure-all, Like, oh, this guy's really tough. I'll just go another level up and they'll all be amazed by the fact that I can use God Ki, and I'll win because I can combine with Kaioken times 20, Like, nah, Kale don't give a shit about that. She only gives a shit about cauliflower, and he got too close.
I hear you, man. I hear you. But I think we're getting a little bit away from the list and what we think, we think they're going to function and stuff like that.
He's got to fit all the memes in one fucking episode,
yeah. Fuck. Hey, man, we haven't talked about Super in a long ass time, so
no, we don't have to start now. That's for a couple weeks from now. We got plenty of Dragon Ball Fighter stuff to talk about.
But yeah, so let's see. You did mention Tien as a character, right? So how do you think he's going to function in this game? I really think he's going to make it in. He has a really good chance, for sure.
Well, so the thing about a lot of these characters is that they've never really had the luxury of being broken down to functions. Sorry if I keep meaning that shit, but they've all relatively played somewhat similar in the game, like especially in the old Butoden games. A lot of them had similar movesets. Excuse me. But I could see Tien coming into this as a character who possibly uses a lot of cloning techniques, overwhelms you with like zoning possibly as well. He has
clearly Tri-Beam is going to be in
Tri-Beam is going to be a thing. For sure. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a version of Tri-Beam that was unblockable.
I see where you're going with that. Just because in the show it was a very powerful move, right?
Yeah, it put Imperfect Cell into the ground at the expense of his life force, obviously. But I could totally see Tien Shinhan just being, sort of a mid-range zoner character, but can also do okay up front, up close. And honestly, I do see him having Chaozu assist. I think that'll be what makes him. That would be what would make him super unique. Is if he has his own assist attacks built in to his character, and then on top of that, got to use like the actual assist from the game. That might actually be pretty damn broken, honestly. So
yeah,
it would probably be something like, a super, or it would have to be, I guess it would be kind of lame if it was a move you can only use once. So I think it would have to be a super kind of thing.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. I was actually thinking about this today too. Is what if they make a character that is two characters in one?
I think they tried that. That's like multi-blood, right?
Well, I don't know. I didn't play multi-blood, but an example that I thought was Chang and Choi from Capcom versus SNK.
Right. Yeah, that's somewhat similar.
Kind of like that, right? Where that would be interesting. I can't say that they're not outside of possibly doing something crazy like that. Like, if there were a team that would pull that off, I feel like Arxis would do it.
I don't see. I see that in the for the sake of being unique and different. Yeah. I can see that getting in. Yeah.
And in the same vein, I did have Master Roshi on my list, but damn, was I thinking so hard, like, how are they gonna make him work in this game?
He can't fly, and his martial arts is more or less just your standard kung fu, which is, it's cool to watch on TV and everything, but how do you make that work in a fighting game where people can fly around and blast you all over the place?
What if he has some type of assist? That's what really got me thinking about like Tien and Chaozu, that possibility. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, but I do feel like these characters will be very unique. If Guilty Gear is any example of that, they've definitely used that tactic in making their games. Mm-hmm. So that goes into my next pick, or I don't even know if I have them on there, but 16, I think would be sick in this game.
I think 16 would be a pretty cool grappler in this game, man. Like a lot of people think, the rocket arms, man, where he just like grabs you from full screen, pulls you in.
Oh, dude, that like the opportunities of animating him so crazy is just like awesome. Like, why would you pass it up, right? As a team that prides themselves as artists and as talented as they are, why wouldn't you jump on something like that, right? Like, there's just so much cool shit you can do with a character like that, and something flashy like that's their forte, right? Why would they pass that up?
Well, actually, it'd be really cool because I think that 16 would totally scratch that itch for characters that you don't often see in the Dragon Ball fighting games. Famously, he was only in Super Butoden 1. Then he appeared later on in Ultimate Battle 22 and Shin Butoden, and that was it. So I could totally see him kind of being in there as hey, we've always wanted to use this character. We feel like he's underrepresented. Same thing with 17. I think 17 is one of those really cool underrepresented characters that people actually like a lot. They just never used. They'd rather use 18 because they needed either a girl character, or they just thought that she represented all three androids correctly enough that they didn't need to add the other two. But I think each android is different enough, which is amazing because, Android 17 and 18 are like literally almost the same character. But I think all three of them deserve to be in here. So I could totally see 16, 17, and 18 getting in. 16 being a very cool grappler / high mobility zoner, which would be fucking verse, man.
Yeah, and this is why I really want to get into the beta, because it's like I want to see the uniqueness of each character. Like, did they start changing like the speeds of the dashes? Like how much ground they cover? Is there differences and stuff like that? Because I feel like that's going to end up coming out more the deeper we get into the roster. I don't think it's going to be as uniform as it seems right now. And
you can't really tell though, because at the demo, everybody kind of had that same mobility, at least when it came to the super dash. When it came to just standard mobility, it was very different. Like Boo definitely was moving around a lot slower than Gohan.
Right.
So it was a lot more awkward for him versus like Goku and Vegeta, who kind of had a more standard speed when it came to standard movement. So that could be something that I guess I would like to see them carry that over to some of the command moves, the command normals and stuff that they have in the game, because there's a ton of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, another character that I think we both mentioned was Beerus. You both mentioned Beerus, right?
We both mentioned Beerus.
I also think that's a pretty good shoe-in. Just because it'd be able to diversify the cast from like something that's hot right now, and making them pretty strong. Because when we kind of got into it earlier, where it's like, are they gonna make this a game of power levels? Which I don't think is at all gonna happen. I think that's totally not gonna happen. But people keep bringing it up, and I don't even think that's been something that happens in Xenoverse, as far as I know. So, or even any other games for that matter. Is that true? Like, I haven't played all the other games, but power levels hasn't really been something. I think
Xenoverse might actually be more true to the content than not. But I agree that Dragon Ball FighterZ does not look to be the kind of game that will beat you over the head for picking a weak character versus a classically stronger character. They've even said that we want Krillin to have a chance against all these superpowered warriors, so why would we worry about power levels and shit? We'll just change the way he plays. And in that sense, we even it out that way, it makes him kind of a threat. It's kind of like the whole thesis behind Tournament of Power, where the whole goal is not to kill your opponent, it's to outsmart him and kick him over the side of the damn ring. And he kind of excelled at that.
Right.
So I definitely feel like Beerus could be in there and he could still be really good. I think he would totally be like a shoo-in for that one OP character that just can just hammer the entire team, but I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, he's just untouchable. Like it's not gonna be like fucking Dark Phoenix shit,
Damn. Well, now let's bring that up. I mean, it's not like he has anything that he changes into or anything like that.
He doesn't.
So, or like an install or something like that.
Nope. It's all him, man.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about him, if he's in there, the cool thing about him is that with him in there, with Golden Frieza in there, they basically cover all their bases for up until the end of the usage of Z in Dragon Ball. You cover Battle of Gods and Return of Frieza. After that, they can start venturing outside of that into other territory, which you included the super character on your roster.
Yeah, I had Jiren for sure. Hit and Jiren, I definitely want.
Yeah, Hit and Jiren. Now, that is something I feel, as much as I would like them to be in the game right away, I feel like that's going to happen later. I feel like that's DLC if it happens. I feel really strongly about that. I feel like, you'll have Hit, you'll have Frost, you'll have probably not. Well, you might have like the Universe 6 Saiyans, one of them. You probably will have Kale, honestly. I think you will have Kale. And then you'll have Jiren, and you'll have, basically just the heavy hitters from Super so far. Zamasu, Goku Black. Or they'll probably have them fused. That'll be like the cop out. You don't have a Goku palette swap. You just have Zamasu fused.
Yeah, I definitely hope that happens later. Like if they decided to use those characters like Goku Black or Vegeta or Gogeta, like don't get me wrong, man. Like I'm a fan of the show, so those characters matter to me. Like I really love those characters as a kid too. But the way I'm thinking about this, I'm trying to take myself outside of being a fan of the show and thinking of what will work as a game, because I won't like the game if it's just a shitload of these sayings, and I think that's a lot of people have been saying that, right? And it's like, fuck, these games are always like a saying fest, right? Because there's so many different versions, and how do you make it work in a game? And what I do like is that Arxis is like, fuck that, you're not gonna get that, like out the bat, right? Like you pretty much know you're not gonna get Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a character, right? Because of the way that they use them. He's just in the super animations. Which is cool. I was like, okay, I'm on board with shit like that. Right? Like what if God, what another character would be fucking dope in this game is if they did put like a Kid Goku in this game. Like I think Kid Goku would be dope. Oh, how dope would that look in this game?
Now I will say there is a precedent for how Kid Goku works in a game like this, or at least in the Butoden series. So it could happen.
Like, and it's a different body type. We have to think about that, right? Like these dudes are veterans. They understand even when you have a show, they're looking at it in a design perspective of like, we need to diversify every body type, every fighting type, and the utility of these characters. And to see how they use somebody like Krillin is a little bit off the wall, right? Like, he's not going to be used as a straight up like brawler. He's going to be like a tricky character, which makes total sense. However, I didn't even think about like those types of things, because everybody uses after image, don't they? Or at least like Piccolo does. And I know
a lot of people do use that, but like to make that part of his regular repertoire, it kind of like makes it shine, like makes the strengths of it shine a little bit, and you're just like, you're almost left wondering, why doesn't anybody else use that shit,
Yeah, man, I mean,
but I mean, dude, like this is not going to be that, it's a game for the fans for sure, but it is not going to be another, Dragon Ball simulation. This is fantasy time, fantasy fight.
And that's exactly why I do want to have a guest on this show that is from that other perspective of like, we're just fans of the property, not necessarily the game.
Yeah.
And kind of what we were talking about earlier, but we're gonna go hard on this game. I really want to know that perspective, because I'm not on that side. I'll tell you right now, I'm definitely not on that side of like, I'm holding things near and dear to the source material. Like, I'm fine with it. I wanted to work as a fighting game above all.
So you want to talk to someone who's going to basically say, my main interest in this, even though I love fighting games, is that they kind of stay a little bit true to the source material, at least in terms of how it's presented.
I want to talk to somebody that they hold that near and dear to their hearts, right? And what they think is going to happen with this game.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're a little on both sides.
I definitely am. I'm definitely on both sides, and so I may not be the perfect person to bounce the ideas off of. You would definitely want someone who's seen it from the other side more than I have, and is coming into this more from that side than I am, and you are. But I think we can make that happen. I've got some connections. I've met some cool people over the last couple of weeks. Some very cool people over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And we may have, let's try to get somebody on next week, because I feel like we'll have just enough time to discuss this topic at length with them. And I think a lot of people are going to want to tune in for that. But did we have some questions or something? I feel like we had some questions on the line. Let's see what we got here. I'm looking it up. People are still typing questions right now. Sorry, guys. They're still coming in as I read it. Jeez. Okay. All right. We're going to go with the most recent one that I found.
All right, go for it, man.
Let's see. All right. You're talking to both of us. Do you have any concerns about the game that could possibly hurt the longevity in the game? That is actually something I didn't address today, but I saw it being addressed today, early in the morning, actually, where people were expressing concern that they didn't think the game was deep enough to hold the attention of people for long term. You want to go answer that first? Because I have an answer, but it's
I can't say for sure. It's way too early to make a judgment call on that because we don't know how these other characters are gonna play. Like right now, it seems pretty straight up, right? But
yeah.
we haven't even seen a trailer of somebody that seems pretty crazy, like Krillin. So, and who knows? These next ones that are coming out could be just as crazy as him. So,
Yeah, they might have got all the vanilla characters out of the way already,
Yeah, I can't really say. Like, not yet. Let's let a more complete roster come out, and I think we can make that decision. But as it is right now, if you are gonna make a judgment as it is right now, it will be a game more based on very general reads, I guess. And I think that is something that people are like, well, the game is going to be very bare bones. Maybe.
I was just gonna say that every game runs the risk of possibly losing interest after a time, even if it comes out super hot out of the gate. And even if it's a great game, sometimes people just, they just can't stick with it, or they just were never that hardcore to begin with. But at the same time, I don't see that interest dropping at all. I see that interest.
No,
I see that interest.
I don't either.
I just see that interest being either where it was when it came out, or relatively close to that, or amazingly enough, even growing. I see that even growing possibly later on in the year. Famously, FGC titles that are competitive, they have 1 year at Evo and then they possibly experience some drop off in the second year. That's something we're used to, but in terms of Guilty Gear, it had a growth. It had a growth spurt.
Well, the thing is, you got to think about too, is this isn't a legacy game. This hasn't been around in FGC for a very long time. So Guilty Gear and all these games that you're talking about, they have a community. Like there is a structured community that exists that they can use to push the game. However, this is basically going to borrow from a bunch of communities, or there's going to be people that step into the light.
Right. It could be completely unique to itself.
Exactly. So that's the thing that I can't really make a call on it yet because we don't know what's going to happen until it comes out. And it like Guilty Gear and even BlazBlue at this point, or Street Fighter, like all those games have people that have been around for years and you can already look to as leaders of the community. But who are the leaders of Dragon Ball fighters? It's up for grabs at this point. Like, are these people that are hardcore Guilty Gear leaders gonna really bail on Guilty Gear? Like, I think every game, I don't think there's that much crossover right now as far as like community leaders go,
No, I think people will play it. I think people are going to play it, but in terms of like who everybody's going to go to for information, who they're going to go to for like discussing who needs to be involved with big projects and whatnot, it's probably going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix of people in the FGC who are just dedicated to this game, and you'll probably be seeing people from outside of the FGC coming into this game who are really dedicated to Dragon Ball as a series and may not be that bad at organizing events and whatnot, and then they'll also take on that role.
I really this is my prediction. I think it will become its own thing. I think it's so big that it probably has to. Because it's like, well, Guilty Gear and BlazBlue and the other anime fighters, I mean, they have a pretty close-knit community, and I don't think that they want their game to fail. So to put so much emphasis on Dragon Ball, and I'm talking about like community leader-wise, not necessarily player-wise, because everybody can play the game.
Yeah, you can play whatever you want. Yeah.
But to put it takes a lot of time to be a TO, somebody that organizes stuff for all these things. And like SoCal's not a good barometer for that because, SoCal has everything. They're fortunate enough to be able to run everything. But outside, I feel like the communities aren't that big outside of SoCal and the East Coast that they can have places where they have everything. You know, I feel like there will be its own specific community as far as leadership goes.
Yeah.
It gets hard, dude. It's really hard.
Right. It is hard. And like, I wouldn't expect anybody to just immediately step into that role. So it'll probably be something that is at first unique. Weirdly enough, it'll be something that is probably governed by Namco itself. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I actually do think that's a high possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just really do feel like this is going to be a big game, and it's going to definitely create its own space inside of the FGC, and it's inevitable.
And you got Mount Paozu Arcade, so remember to subscribe and donate. Next question comes from Lionheart16, friend of the show. If Dragon Ball FighterZ had a story mode, should it recap the Z Saga or should it be a what if story? If it's like a story mode like freaking Exord, man, like I kind of would like a what if story because I think we've seen all the Z Saga stuff. I would almost like to see just like something completely original. But then again, at the same time, I'm like, I just want to see them do that cool animation shit again, you know?
Yeah, Dragon Ball is hard to deal with simply because the stories have been told so many damn times in video games. Like, I was always one to never like these rehashes. This is kind of what I didn't like about like Xenoverse or any of those games after like all the Budokais. Like, I've heard that same damn story so many times, and then it's like, oh well, we have the alternate universe and all this other stuff. So,
and nothing changes. Like the whole point of that is to fix what the hell they did wrong. I'm almost like, you might as well just change the entire universe.
Yeah, so
that would be more interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious as they're gonna go about it. And like we were talking about before, the pedigree of the developers, I don't really think is to really stick to what's been done before, you know. And if gameplay and visuals is anything to use as an example, I do think the story is going to be different. You know, they'll definitely try to add its own flavor to it.
I think I would think that Arxis would want to take this and run with it and stretch their wings and tell a Dragon Ball story their way, you know?
I mean, what if it's a totally unique story, like totally different, where it doesn't even recognize the canon? Like, you know, like,
like they don't even recognize their own canon in Guilty Gear, so it's
yeah, right? Man, that's just complicated.
Dog. You had to rewrite some of that shit.
But yeah, story is definitely something they're gonna address though, because casual fans, they gotta have that, and I don't think they want to turn their back on that audience at all.
Right. Not at all. Another question from Rod CU. Which characters do you think won't make it in order to make DLC characters? So basically, which characters do you make it'll be DLC characters? He believes that they must be popular and marketable to be DLC. And
I think we kind of talked about that already.
We did, but
no. I mean like the whole thing about the Dragon Ball Super stuff, like that. I think that's it. That might be the best thing that they can do is save those characters for a DLC.
Well, I think there's one other group, and the thing is like this group is, despite its roots being controversial, they're almost included in every Dragon Ball game to date that came out after it started. And I'm talking about Dragon Ball GT. Dragon Ball GT characters appear. Dragon Ball GT characters, despite nobody having any love for this series, and rightfully so, they appear as necessary characters. Like it's almost like you can't have a Dragon Ball game unless Goku turns Super Saiyan 4, unless Omega Shenron appears, unless Super Android 17 appears, unless Baby Vegeta's in it. You know, like this, they make room for them. And when you were talking about Kid Goku before, I almost wanted to say, yeah, they'll totally throw Kid Goku in there as GT Goku. I could totally see that happening.
All right, look. Here's the thing. GT, like their characters are actually, to me, I think they're cool. like as far as like character designs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like storyline, I don't give a shit.
No, nobody
like,
gives a shit about the storyline. You just want the characters in there, and I think the characters in this game would probably. This would be a good medium for them to appear without pissing everybody off with the crappy storyline, because you've got characters who are like, that just use moves that you normally don't see in Dragon Ball. Like Omega Shenron definitely has a move set that isn't just like, punch, punch, blast. It's a lot of different stuff like that. It's a lot of like, he has like this weird like lightning from above shit that he had from Budokai 3, which I honestly hope makes it into this game if he's in there.
I think that's actually like the last thing that would be DLC. I think first it would be Dragon Ball Super characters and then movie characters.
That's correct.
I think movie would be, it would be Dragon Ball Super movie characters and then fucking maybe GT characters. Because there's a deep roster in movie characters that are pretty strong characters. Broly absolutely being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That bring a lot to the table and actually fit better visually into a Dragon Ball Z type game. I think Dragon Ball GT kind of goes in a different direction as far as like color palettes and like how they look.
No, yeah, the mood. The mood was different for sure. Like, you don't want Trunks in there looking like he does in GT.
Yeah, dude. I mean, fucking Shredder Cooler was tight. I was like,
dude, yeah, Shredder Cooler. Yeah, that was sick. Shit. I could see them putting in movie villains.
They're pretty strong designs. Like Janemba, yeah, definitely a character that has really strong design. Yeah, dude. I just think those, as far to answer that question, I think they would package them in that way. First for me being Dragon Ball Super, second movie characters, and last would be GT.
Okay. And we kind of answered the other question, which is basically also if they did use movie exclusive characters in the game, were they any side characters, villains that you like to see? And so I guess we already answered that with like Cooler and Broly. I would assume that they would release characters as packs of 3 so they could make a team. So it would probably be something like Broly, Cooler, hopefully not Taurus. Jesus. It would probably be fucking Slug.
Champion, baby! Put him in!
Nah, man, Slug, man. That freaking Super Namek. I could see it being Lord Slug. All right. I think that's it for everything, and we are out of time, actually.
Yeah, man, that was really, we didn't really have a lot to work with today, but.
All right. Well, we had a lot of like, sad feelings, and I think we hit all the marks, all the same. And I want to thank everybody for sticking with this show for 4 episodes. Jesus, 4 weeks. Actually, I guess it's 5 counting Evo, but 4 episodes, and we're not even close to being done yet. Like, basically, this is all a prelude, because we're doing this until Dragon Ball FighterZ comes out, and then we'll actually have some content for you.
Yeah, I mean, we got bummed out because we thought it was about to go down.
Oh man,
sometime soon because of the beta sign up, but
September.
The thing is, man, is that with Dragon Ball, there's always something to talk about, and you mentioned it earlier. I really hope we do get Rhymestyle on next week, because that to me right now is something that is the elephant in the room. Like, how is that gonna work? How is the YouTube community, the other Dragon Ball fans that are in a different corner of the internet, So that's something to look for in the future as a conversation or topic that we're going to talk about.
Okay, so you want to get Rhymestyle on next week? All right, I'll make some calls. I'll get Rhymestyle on next week.
You can do that, bro?
Yeah, do that, dude. Like, it's ever since Evo, dude. Like, the juice has been flowing through me. Like, I could get Rhymestyle. I could get Afro Sinjo. I could probably get Bardock Obama in here.
What? Bardock Obama?
Yeah, I could probably get Bardock Obama in here. Honestly, I could probably get Tasty Steve in here. I could probably get Sajam in here. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah, man, I want to hear from all those dudes, man. I mean, after Rhymestyle, we could get the big wigs up in here. Yeah. And let's see what they say, because they, I don't know, they've just kind of been silent lately. And I think the people want to know. The people want to know.
Like,
how do you side in this game?
I mean, all I'm saying is, like, I'd rather hear it straight from the man's mouth than rather on print in an article that he's hyped for Dragon Ball Fighters.
What are you talking about, bro?
It doesn't matter who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Sajab. That's what I'm talking about. I want him on here to explain how hyped he is for Dragon Ball Fighters, and then I will discuss with him how he feels about the game personally.
Oh.
But that's after Rhymestyle. We said Rhymestyle coming on next week. I'm gonna make some calls. We're gonna get him on here. We're gonna have a great discussion. Hopefully, you guys are here next week to tune in. It's gonna be awesome. I want to thank you again for checking in tonight. We're pretty much done though. Abe, take us home.
Well, before we take it home, we definitely need to plug the Game Goons raffle that we have going for the T-shirt. So if you follow the Game Goons account and you retweet that, I believe we've had it in the chat, but if Gibby could throw it up in there again for us. If you follow or retweet the Game Goons tweet, you enter yourself into a raffle to win this fabulous shit that none of us have. And that frankly makes me feel kind of shitty.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like every time I look at this, I'm like, I have the shirt that you're wearing right now, but I don't have this beautiful black shirt with the logo and everything, man. I'm like, I need something to drink.
God, yeah, man, and I work so damn hard on it. God damn. When you make shit and you can't even have it yourself.
This is the emo, man. Shoot.
Dude, like I made this and I can't even have it. like fuck. But yeah, we have a Teespring campaign going on right now. If you want to get it on your own, you could definitely head over to the Teespring account. Gibby, if you could drop that into the chat for us to go and purchase it on your own. And the Paozu arcade shirt that Chris is currently wearing right now is also available for purchase.
Yes, it's a very beautiful shirt, very simple. Represent your taste in podcasts and live TV shows publicly with the Mount Paozu arcade t-shirt. And like we said earlier, if you're really cool, you can also buy a t-shirt from here, and you can also subscribe to the channel and donate as well. But I think getting a t-shirt, you get something cool out of it, so either way, I think we want to make everybody happy here.
And to really close this out, I mean, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for participating in the chat. Even though we don't directly respond, I see you, baby.
I see you. And if we missed any questions, make sure that you join the Discord. We will post a link in there in the chat right now. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Join the Discord. And we have a questions section in the Discord. You can put questions for the show whenever you want, as much as you want. We'll do our best to answer them. Like hell, if there's enough of them, we might actually do a show that's 100% questions from the audience.
Also, if you guys, I believe by about tomorrow, we will have the YouTube video uploaded to YouTube. So if you want to watch it on there too, if you guys did not catch the rest of the stream, you can catch it on there. We have a YouTube channel. It is Game Goons youtube.com/GameGoonsTV. Yeah, /GameGoonsTV.
YouTube.com/GameGoonsTV. All right.
Yeah. So check that out. And we have the previous episodes up on there too. So yeah, guys, to close this out, gonna hand it over to Chris. He's the dude. He's the one that closes. So Chris, send us home, man.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a great 4 episodes, and we look forward to putting out more for you guys. I'm Hell Pockets, and this is Metaphysics. And remember, keep it super. You know what I'm saying?